Starving your inner critic. Yikes.
Making sure that you're not feeding it. That's what we're going to be talking about today.
In this week's episode of
Get Real with the English
Sisters. Mind, health and anxiety.
We are therapists and we are here to help you. So we do hope that you find this a helpful podcast.
Exactly. The starving. Do you feed your inner critic? So many people do. They're feeding it all day long, 3 meals a day.
Or even more. It's like constantly being fed. Oh, gosh.
3 meals a day plus snacks.
Making sure it stays, it thrives. It's the opposite of what we actually want to do.
Opposite.
Yes, it really is. It took us a while to learn about this inner critic, didn't it?
We didn't have a clue, did we?
No.
There wasn't so much information back then.
But once we learnt about it, it's something that we all have. It's this inner voice that tells us things and says things to us. But, wouldn't it be amazing if that inner voice was our best friend?
Yeah, stick around because we're going to give you some strategies. Some strategies that you will find helpful in silencing and starving your little inner critic or big inner critic, whichever it is.
Exactly, yes.
What do you suggest? I suggest.
Oh, right. Yes, we're diving straight into it. Yeah. Well, I would suggest, first of all, to give this inner critic a name.
Absolutely.
And I think it's important, for it to have a different name to you. So if your name is Jessica, you want to give the inner critic another name, don't you?
Yeah. Well, yes, you can call her whatever you want.
Yes, because in this way you're being able to create some kind of a disassociation between the two of you, and not in an unhealthy way.
No.
It's just like a fun way of saying, okay, if I'm called Jessica, my inner critic can be called like Sally
or Rabbit.
Oh no. Stop being silly, Rabbit.
Because that will make you laugh.
Okay. I thought of another female name, but okay. So if I'm called Jessica, my inner critic will be called Rabbit, and you can say, okay, Rabbit, go. I'm not going to feed you today, even though Rabbit may be saying things to me that are going to think, well, you're not good enough to do that. You're not strong enough. Somebody else took advantage of you. You're gonna fail at this. All the nasty things. But when you think it's called Rabbit,
can you see how that makes you laugh immediately?
Yes,
though? It puts you in a good mood. It changes your frame of mind, state of mind.
Yes, it does actually. Yeah, it does remind me of a therapy session we had with a client once.
Exactly.
That we did tell her indeed to think of her inner critic as a cartoon character.
Exactly.
That she said she really enjoyed it when she was little.
Yeah.
And that really did help her. Yeah.
Well, it does help because it puts you. It already immediately changes the whole frame of things, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it's going to make you laugh.
It will make.
And it'll make you think. Well, my inner critic isn't someone that I should take seriously because they don't count.
Well, they don't count. Yeah. They're like.
they're not someone I should be respecting and holding in high standards.
No, it's not somebody that I should prioritize their advice.
Yes.
What kind of advice are you going to be giving me? You're going to be telling me, don't do it. You're not good enough, especially if they're not, it's not positive criticism very often. This inner critic comes out.
Of course not. It's stopping you from doing what you need to do or want to do.
Stopping you from going where you want to go by telling you that you cannot do it. Or you're not good enough for whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing.
You shouldn't go to this because you're like ugly or you're...
you're not pretty enough to wear that outfit, whoever you are. You're
not that kind of person that wears things like that. You don't wear jewelry. You don't do this. You're not that person.
Exactly.
Well, get stuff to Rabbit.
Yeah, Rabbit. It's time to hit the road. Hit the road, Jack. Hit the road, Rabbit. Off you go. And, go and take a walk somewhere and you're not going to get your carrot for today. You know, I think if you
don't stock up on hay and carrots. You know,
No.
next time you're at the supermarket, say, "Hey, I'm not buying those for you.
no,
I'm not feeding you today.
I'm not feeding you today," and that's a really good point. Yeah.
Can you imagine how much freedom that gives you immediately?
I mean, yeah. Well, if you had an inner critic, what would you call it?
Well, mine.
So you're called Violetta. What would you think?
I haven't really. I mean,
Anything
so
that would
many,
just pop up to mind.
So many years now that
Now,
I've been doing it,
yeah.
I haven't really got anything I could think of on the moment. I don't really have an inner critic that
That would-
criticizes me that much. I mean, I
No.
love myself. So
Yes.
my inner critic.
No, 'cause I
would
was trying to
my
think
inner
now.
critic like loves me.
Yes, you do.
I've befriended.
You've
I
befriended
befriended
your
my inner critic.
That's where
the
I wanted to get.
second. You were
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
get to that.
yeah,
Sneaky.
No, I was thinking, because if I was thinking, do I have an inner critic? Do you know what I saw? Like the fairy in Peter Pan, and I thought, that's not really a critic. She like helps me. If I think of Twinkle
that's
Twinkle,
your fairy godmother. That's not a critic.
well, there you go, but I don't know who. Like, I could imagine this little fairy. What's her name now? I can't. You know, in Peter Pan's
Yes, I
story,
know,
Twinkle,
no.
whatever. I could imagine
Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell, yeah, but she would be like helping
She
me.
helps you.
Yeah,
she helps.
She
you.
helps me. She like thinks, come on, you know,
You
there's.
befriended her.
Yes, yeah. So I've befriended her. So my original inner critic has now been replaced by.
I remember.
My
I
friend.
remember when we were first writing books. I remember
my
I had an inner critic that said, "You're not good enough to write a book.
Me too.
You're not an author. You can't write a book.
Who are
do
you?
you think you are writing a book? This is ridiculous." You know, the
Is
person would say, the inner critic would say all these things to us, but of course we were already on this self-help self-awareness
path, yeah.
path where we already become aware of the inner critic, so we could say, hey, just go and, we used to say, go and have a cup of tea, inner critic, you know, go and
Yeah.
have a little rest.
But I guess that was
We
kind of
don't
like
need you.
befriending it, because it
Yes,
wasn't
of
saying
course,
get
we
lost.
were offering it food. Tea and cakes. Go
But,
and have
but
a
in
cup
a
of
different
tea.
room, you know, we're not starving you. We're going to befriend you here. But at the same time, we're not going to be listening to what you're saying to us right now, because now we need to be creative and we need to be in the flow. I remember how many times would I say to myself, oh gosh, what am I doing? I'm writing a story about a tree. You know, this sounds like a kid's story. But then I would say, stop it. I know I'm being influenced by my inner critic now.
So you would like cross-examine your inner critic.
Yeah. I
You
would
would
like
say,
cross
"Stop
it.
it, what are you
I would
doing?"
say, what are you doing? You know, no, let me be in this wonderful flow now. And the flow was stronger than what the inner critic would say in the end. And I could manage to write. But yes, it is interesting. It's interesting what we say to ourselves. And it's interesting to know that if you do have an inner critic that's always bothering you, that you can give it, you know, some kind of a funny name, a cartoon character. You can think of it as something that's can be not taken seriously, because that's what it's meant to be, isn't it?
Yeah, you can also change its voice.
Oh,
So
yes.
most people have like a lot of our clients that we've seen have one of their parents talking to them in a really like, you're not good enough, you're not this.
Yes.
Like in a certain way, in a certain voice. And so what you can do is you can just change it and like put a cartoon character's voice onto it.
Yes.
So imagining, oh, you're not good enough, you're rubbish, you're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Something like that with really high tones.
You
And
know,
you
it
can
can
change the pitch so that it's not threatening. So if normally it would be a threatening voice that you hear in your head, you change it to a really high voice, maybe put some party music along with it, like a happy birthday song or something.
Yeah, it's difficult to be, you know, really annoyed if your inner critic sounds like Donald Duck.
Yeah.
You know, you've got that funny voice. So whatever they're saying to you, they're going to say it in that funny voice.
I don't know how to do that
Oh, no,
voice.
neither do I. And I do not pretend to know how to do it. But, you know, it's like, whack, whack. I don't know. But, you know, when you said the rabbit, I kind of imagined like, you know... this rabbits. So you can imagine it, you
Yes.
know, and it can be really helpful.
Well, that's really powerful. If you change your inner critic's voice, you'll probably start laughing. You won't take your inner critic seriously. You know, you'll end up becoming friends with it. You'll find that your inner critic doesn't appear as often.
No,
it
that's
doesn't
it.
come knocking on your
No,
door as
no.
often because it's got nothing to. Because you're not listening to it, so it's
If you're
not getting fed.
It's not getting fed. You're not prioritizing what it's saying to you. You're putting it away. You're sending it off. You're laughing. You're laughing when it appears.
It's actually putting you in a good mood.
When you can hear that voice, and in the end, your inner critic transforms, and it actually becomes your best friend. That's why when I asked Violetta, what's your inner critic's name, she couldn't actually come up with a name, and I can't really come up with a name either.
No, because I haven't really got one.
Not
anymore.
now, because of the journey we've come on, and the journey comes through awareness.
Yeah.
It's once you're aware of the fact that there is even, you know, this thing called inner critic, you can understand what's going on in your mind, and you can become the master of your mind, which is really, really, really important and essential for a healthy life.
Yeah, and you can also, if your inner critic is being very demanding and wants lots of food, you can write down on a piece of paper. You can write things down like, what's it saying to you? I'm not good enough. So you change it around. I am good enough. Thank you very much. You can't do this. I can do this. Thank you very much. And so on and so forth.
Right. Oh, you mean just transform what
just
you're
turn
hearing.
it around, write it down. You write it down on a piece of paper on your tablet or phone or whatever, and you just turn it around and you do the opposite.
There is a power in looking at the written word, and
then you can look at it neutrally as well and think, well, yeah, that's not really true. Have I got evidence? Do I really know that this is true? No, it's not true.
Exactly. You may have never tried something before. How do you know? Yeah. You know, how do you know that you can't do that? It's like in our case when we were writing books, how do we know that we because of what? How does anyone ever know before starting something that you can't do it? Or that you're not going to do it right? You don't know.
No,
you may have had failures, but you can try again.
Yeah, and who has the power to tell you what you can and cannot do? You do. You're the only one that has the real power. So don't listen to your inner critic if it's telling you can't do something. Because you won't, like what Yutka says, you won't be able to know if you can do it until you've actually done it and failed. If you're failing, if you could do it and succeed.
And then afterwards you have to think there is no failure. There is only feedback from the mistakes you may have made. That's feedback for you, for your long life ahead. That's feedback for you every single time you fail at something or you perceive it to be a failure. There's feedback to be learned. So,
well, that's amazing. That was an amazing phrase. There was no failure, only feedback.
Yeah,
yes. That's a neuro-linguistic programming phrase, and
that can really change your life. It can
change your life because you can go and do things and know that if you fail, it's okay to fail, and you can, as long as you're not harming anyone or doing anything, you know, that's not good, but you can try things out. You know?
You can definitely try things out. You know, it doesn't really matter. You can be in a relationship with a long time and then maybe with somebody, for example, and think, okay, now it's time for, you want to go on, but you could have your inner voice saying, no, if you leave this person, you won't find anyone else.
Oh, yes.
You know, that's a time when you can think, okay, inner critic, go, you know, push them aside and think, there is no failure, only feedback. So it's not because I've decided to finish the relationship with this person, whatever it is, work, romance, whatever it is, it doesn't mean that I failed at that.
No.
It means the time has come for a change in my life.
Exactly.
That's what it really does mean.
Yeah, and I always think of what Mum used to say, mejor sola que mal acompañada.
Yeah, I think about that a lot as well.
You're better off on your own than in bad company.
Yes.
So if something isn't really working for you and you've done everything to make it work, there's no point. Just carrying on because you think that you're not good enough or you won't find anyone else, because it's absolutely not true, and it's unfounded.
You may have a time alone, and that'll be time for you to grow even more and to mature, and no matter what age you are, because you can always mature. And just to think about it and think, okay, there is feedback. In every relationship, there's always been good times. There's always something that you share with each other. That's something that you can treasure. But at the same time, it doesn't mean, there's so many times.
It's also a time to not to find anyone else, but to find yourself.
Exactly.
You can find yourself and know who you really are, and, silence your inner critic and allow yourself to thrive and to flourish and grow in every way.
Absolutely.
So let us know what you think. Do you have an inner critic? Most of us do, even if we've befriended them.
Yes. But we remember a time when perhaps, they were, their voice was louder in our minds.
Exactly.
Yes.
And do try these tips for silencing your inner critic and let us know if they work for you. And do come and watch us on YouTube, where we have the full video podcast of this episode, and come say hi.
Come say hi.
On Instagram.
Absolutely.
Wherever you find us. Love and smiles from the
English Sisters. Bye.
Bye-bye. We're therapists and we're here to help you. See you soon.